Hello, hello, and welcome back to yet another episode of Mixing a Prog Album Live, where we are working on the second AfterWinter album, Boundless. We are today diving right back into track 5, Time's Embrace, so that we can finish out chunk 2 of the mix for this song, which of course is Sound Detail. We're going to be diving right into the mid-range bandpass and taking a listen to the song to make sure everything slots together right before we move into the third and final chunk of the first draft mix, which is volume detail. Let's go ahead and open up Logic. There we go. All right. Okay, making sure everything's still looking good here. I do believe it is. Okay. Yep. So as I mentioned, we are looking into the mid-range bandpass for track 5 Times Embrace. That is our first order of business today, just to make sure that everything's slotting together pretty well. Theoretically, it should be sitting pretty good already. Get to see this live for a change. Nice. Yes. Yes, indeed. We had a little bit of time today, a couple of unexpected cancellations. Gave me some time to stream a little earlier and longer today. Excuse me. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else that we really need to take too close a look at. I think we can pretty much just dive right into the listen through. Yeah, so we're just going to listen to the entire song front to back in mid only. So we're only hearing the mid-range. We've cut out the lows, cut out the highs, and we're listening for balanced things. Now, we know everything's pretty balanced and full quality, so if something is unbalanced, we need to be taking a look at EQ first rather than volume. All of our normal volume automation, or not all of our normal mid-range bandpass stuff. So let's go ahead and get started on that listen. System overload, huh? All right, computer, come on now. Everything's sounding pretty good so far.
I see only one thing
Yeah. Not too bad. One section I want to check again, I think, is the solo. The strings were really the only thing that I feel like I was kind of struggling to put where they should go. They felt a little loud. So that was this channel EQ that we were looking at through a lot of this was the orchestra. Chorus seemed okay, but the solo, suddenly the string seemed really loud. They're okay here. Okay, yeah, so I added this cut here at 2400 in the initial listen through, but by the time I got through to it, the solo was pretty much over. So yeah, I think we got it. I think we're good for now. Okay, so we're going to turn our mid-range bandpass back off and head back to the beginning of the song so that now we can kind of start the home stretch for this song. Depending on how long this takes, we might actually get a first draft of this done today. That would be super cool. So let's start talking about volume detail. As per usual, I think our bass drum and snare drums are pretty good as is, other than we need to check all the fills. So really we're going to be focusing on toms first, and within that also kind of the snare fills. We do actually have floor tom 1 and 2 this time. So let's see, I'm pretty sure there actually are a few points in here where the two drums are hit together. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I'm thinking maybe this section where this here in the beginning, the floor tom ought to just be panned to the left instead of the right for this entire thing. So this is something I've talked about in other episodes, but we haven't actually gotten to do yet. Just to get a nice wide tom sound whenever we're getting those big low floor toms, I like to automate floor tom 1, which is normally, over in the right, again, drummer's perspective, where you would expect that drum to really be in the drummer's perspective. I'll pan that to the left instead, just to kind of widen up what we're hearing. Excuse me. I have introduced a redundancy just there, I realized. Let's do that. And there is one other part of the song where that happens. It's right over here. Let's do the same thing here. And then, oh hey, Seeker's here. Hey, how's it going, man? Good to see you. Hope you're doing good. Okay, actually, that looks like that's the only time we get either floor tom in this song actually is during those sections. So we don't even need to have the automation jumping it back and forth. We can just leave it in the left instead of the right. So with that, now we get a drum in both spots, kind of giving us that nice wide thing going on. That's super cool. I like that a lot. A lot of heat here. What about you? Yes, same. Actually, here where we are, the heat is a little bit better today, I think, than it has been. But yes, this has been a very, very hot summer. We've been up in the 90s and almost to the hundreds here in the last probably month or so, which is usually, that happens occasionally, but not near as often as it seemed like it did here recently. Yeah. I've been meaning to ask other times you've been in here, Seeker, where are you from? I know that you said there was a big time difference in the episode several episodes ago. Definitely curious where you're from. Let's get some volume envelopes going on our rack toms here. I don't think we'll need to mess with the volumes of the two floor toms. Might be wrong there, but let's pull this up. Okay, I'm gonna check this fill right here and see what we're hearing or not hearing. Yep, I'm good with that. Just a slight little nitpicky change right here on floor rack tom 2. Greece, Southern Mediterranean. Man, that is super cool to hear. Yeah, that's you never really realize, you know what I mean, when you're putting music out and stuff, how far it can potentially reach. That is awesome, honestly. We talked a lot in that one episode about stuff going on with the band. Do you do anything? Do you play at all in a band, releasing stuff? Definitely interested to hear. Just make sure, yeah. I want to make sure I didn't introduce a redundancy in that volume envelope there. Okay, and then we got this big fill here going back into the thing from the beginning. Yes, yeah. Yes, the Encyclopedia Metallum, absolutely. James and I were just looking at that Sunday when he was over at my house. We got a review on Paramnesia on that website, which is super cool. 90% review, which is just about as good as you can ask for. Especially because we went into that project knowing that a lot of people wouldn't really get it. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Nothing to me now. I think all that's good as is. That website's got a lot of really neat stuff on it. Good to read some different stuff on there, for sure. Okay. Playing bass until 2021, but unfortunately heavy metal is not famous here to continue professionally. Yeah, understood. Very much understood. That's actually a lot of the reason why we're not playing live. It's not the whole reason, but yeah, there's only so many places around here to play that style of music, and forget about getting paid for it. Yeah, if you want to do it, you know, quote unquote professionally here, where we are, you got to be in a cover band playing either country or classic rock, which just about all of us in the band have done quite a lot of. In fact, Eli and I are currently in a cover band that does that sort of thing, that plays around. That's the only way to make money playing music around here, really, is to play the obvious covers that everybody wants to hear. This sort of stuff, nobody would get it. Nobody would, well, I think some people would like it, but not enough. Not enough to go around and get paid decent money to do it, for sure. Definitely understand that. Okay, yeah, so we've got a weird thing happening on this tom right here. There's quite a lot of cymbal bleed. See if we can fix a little bit of that. Excuse me. Yeah, that's definitely better. Yeah, and I think the volumes were good on it. We did that for a long time too, though. We played, not AfterWinter, but the previous bands that all of us have been in, did a lot of playing as much as you can in this area, the original metal stuff. Oh, Seeker says, actually, there's a very famous and good black metal scene here with many groups being popular abroad, but other subgenres of metal don't have many fans, and I don't like much black metal, to be honest. Yeah, same. I totally agreed there. That's cool that there's something going on around there. But yeah, I've never been... Honestly, I'm just not super big into screaming at all, so that sort of thing never appealed to me very much. Yeah, there were a few venues around here, and there are a couple that still exist that were pretty good for booking original metal bands, but it would be a roster. You'd have to join a show of like 4 or 5 bands playing, and there just weren't enough bands around here. Yeah, everybody was so different that I think it was difficult to get people to shows sometimes because the amount of different styles you would hear at a show meant that it only appealed to a very small niche of people who liked it all, you know. There was a thriving metal scene for a little while. Again, nothing good enough to get paid money to do it, but you could at least get some people at shows, and even that's kind of dying away now. Good there. Hear that one again, I think. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was hearing what I thought I was hearing. Yeah, okay, I think that's all for the Tom fills, so we should be good there. There's a couple of those envelopes we don't need then. Don't need that one. Don't need that one. Good with all the rest. Okay. Moving on. I don't know why my brain is just like... I'm trying to focus. What are we doing here? Okay, yes. Now that we got Tom fills, the next thing that we need to do is bass. So as per usual, what we need to do is mute everything except for the drums and bass so that we can really clearly hear what is going on the bass. We always, if we make a change, we always want to check it with everything in, but it's a lot easier to hear for sure what the bass is or is not doing if we're just hearing the one thing or the other. Seeker also says, comparing to other countries of Southern Europe and more, if you consider our small population, Greece is the most metal country maybe, but still in Northern Europe is much more profitable to be a rock musician. Yeah, I don't doubt that, for sure. We were friends with the guys in a Swedish band called, I think it was The Hero. It's either Hero or The Hero. For some reason, I can't remember all of a sudden. We played with them in Los Angeles here in 2017. And stayed in contact with them for a while. We haven't talked to them for a little bit, actually, but they were talking about how Sweden's not bad for this sort of stuff, and in fact that they were a bit disappointed. You know, they thought this was going to be a really big thing coming to play in L.A., and honestly, there wasn't very many people at the thing we played. It wasn't bad, but they were kind of like, we've played stuff bigger than this over in Stockholm. We kind of figured this would be at least that big, and we were like, yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, those guys were really cool. Good band. They're still making music too, which is awesome. But I've heard several times that kind of over your way is a little bit better than a lot of the places over here. Okay, yeah. So taking a listen here to just drums and bass. I suspect that this will be totally fine as is, but might as well check. Oh, yeah. In Sweden, there's a heavy metal bar in every small area. Even more in Finland. Scandinavia is another world for all genres of metal. Also, even good Christian metal bands are existed there. Yeah, 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 yeah. That makes sense. That goes exactly along with what they were saying. Yeah, they told us they could get us some shows over there, and but of course, that's not inexpensive. to go over there. I can't imagine the amount of money they shelled out to come to LA that time. So it's oof. We would have loved to have gone, but we would have been in debt for years. We were in debt for years just to go to Los Angeles, let alone to leave the country. This part's pretty hilarious without all the clean guitars. Does sound like that note slide from one to the other. I love that noise at the end. Oh, yes. Couple more. Seeker says, it's a very expensive country, but the wages are very high and quality of life is good. Meant someone traveling there is different. Yeah, totally. Yeah, talking about Sweden there. Yeah. And also he says, nice tunes there. Thank you. Very much appreciated, as always. Again, I don't know why I keep just like almost subconsciously labeling. I keep saying man and he and stuff. I assume that's correct. Please do correct me if that's wrong. I keep saying it even though I don't know, and I don't know why I keep saying it. I'm going to go ahead and turn this down here, this noise at the end. Not too much, but it does kind of like jump out of the speakers at you, that very last noise. I certainly don't want to get rid of it, but I do want it to be down just a little. Yeah, I think that's a little bit more in line volume-wise with the rest. Other than that, I think I was good with all that. Okay, moving into rhythm guitars then. So we're going to mute the bass, unmute the rhythm guitars, look for any spots where James and I are not playing the same thing. And I know there are at least a few that I can think of. So we'll go ahead and stick some volume envelopes on the guitars. So now we're just going to be hearing drums and rhythm guitars. Okay, so right there, other than when we're hitting power chords, we are definitely not playing the same thing. But it seems okay already. Let's quickly turn other stuff back on and review. Actually, we don't need piano for this. There's not piano in the chorus. I just want to hear that part specifically and ensure that I'm good with those volumes as is. Yeah, my ear is a little more drawn to what I'm doing than what James is doing, which is not the intention. So I do think we should balance those just a little bit different. Is Fate's Warning an influence for the band? You know, I've never actually listened to them. I know who they are. So I don't know. At least not for me, but maybe for other band members. It wouldn't surprise me if Eli knows a little bit more about them. That's another band I've always meant to check out because I know they have a couple of connections to Dream Theater, of course. A band I've meant to check out and never got there. I need to put that on the list. Okay, so we're going to need division because that G comes in. like there. Yeah. Okay, so from the beginning of the chorus to halfway through that beat in 80. Had pretty good luck with 1 decibel difference. Let's try that first. James up 1 and me down 1. That seemed a little hefty, maybe. I don't know if, supposedly most people can't tell the difference between a half decibel of volume, but we're going to try a half decibel. I feel like that was better. Oh, hey, Guy Barnes is here too. How's it going, Guy? I saw Dream Theater a few times. Great live band. Yes, same. I have seen them a couple of times. I would like to see them a couple of times more. I missed their last show when they came around here. You should check them out, especially their old stuff. Symphony X is the same. For Dream Theater, we all agree, I guess. Yeah, I think so, for sure. For sure. Yeah, I know I've heard a couple of Symphony X things. I think Sam, our keyboardist, was into Symphony X there for a little while. I seem to recall him talking about them. Yeah. I saw Dream Theater played in Pompeii. Was it maybe just yesterday? And they did Echoes, that like 20-minute long Pink Floyd song, as kind of an homage to Pink Floyd's famous album there. And all those bands are Christian friendly and lyrical, very inspiring. Yeah, agreed. Yep. I can definitely attest to Dream Theater that way. Yeah, definitely. Okay. I will admit, talking about Dream Theater, I have a kind of a weird opinion that it seems most of the Dream Theater fan base does not necessarily agree with, and that being that I kind of prefer Mike Mangini's drumming to Mike Portnoy's. That's to say nothing of all the other things, because Portnoy brings so much to the band more than drumming, and obviously he's an amazing drummer. I was a little bit sad to see Mangini go. I shouldn't even say a little bit. I was pretty sad. I was excited about what they might do with Portnoy coming back, but I was sad to see Mangini go. That seems pretty good too. Obviously that whole section is in harmony. I might try the half a decibel difference on that too. Yeah, Guy agreed. Guy saying that he hopes they put that Pompeii on DVD. Yeah. A lot of people in comments on posts I was seeing were saying that same thing. That they should go ahead and put a DVD out for that. Both are great. Yeah, it's a matter of taste. I like Mangini's work with Annihilator, too. Yeah, I like Portnoy's work with Neil Morrison on other... yes, both great musicians. Totally agreed. Yes. When Neil Morse put out Similitude of a Dream, that was the first I had ever heard of him. And it was mostly because of Portnoy posting on social media that this was one of the biggest, coolest things he'd ever done since Scenes from a Memory. And I was like, okay, well, I got to see what this is. And then that got all of us into the Neil Morse circle, too, discovering stuff like Transatlantic. And then, of course, the stuff that the other Transatlantic guys have done, like Marillion and the Flower Kings. Yeah, fantastic stuff. I hope Portnoy's not gone from the Neil Morse camp for too long. I know he's understandably going to be back kind of focused on the Dream Theater stuff for a while, but the Neil Morse stuff won't be the same without him. Although, speaking of discoveries in the Neil Morse camp, Eric Gillette, holy crap. Yes, yes, yeah. Sorry, the live stream is a little behind the comments. So Seeker just asked, "Do you know Similitude of a Dream?" For me, that just popped up. Yes, yeah. Oh my gosh, fantastic album, fantastic playing from everybody in there. Yeah. Oh, all the Neil Morse band stuff is really, really good. The song Waterfall, which is on the album, I think maybe their first album before Similitude, is, I mean, beautiful. The harmonies on that are mind-boggling. And Eric Gillette he's got to be one of the best guitarists around. Yeah. I put these nodes a little bit too far forward. That's okay, because we need them for this, too. Yeah, clear up to there, actually. We're going to move all these over. Yeah, Guy says he has a bunch of Neil's CDs and DVDs. Yeah, same. I think I've mentioned this on a couple of episodes before, but I absolutely love watching making of documentaries. It's part of the reason that I'm doing this live. And Neil puts out a documentary for like every album he's ever made, pretty much. So I love watching those. Very underrated album. Gillette is nailing also. Shame it's not more popular stuff. Agreed. Yes, everybody in that band is fantastic too. Bill Hubauer, the other keyboardist, and Randy George, the bassist. Everybody is just top of the game. Part of me hopes a little bit that Mike Portnoy might put out the Shattered Fortress DVD that he's talked about a couple of times. When for his 50th birthday, he got Eric Gillette and a bunch of the Haken guys and some other vocalists to perform his 12-step suite live all the way through, because he never got to do it with Dream Theater. And he's mentioned a couple of times that he has a pro-recorded DVD of an entire performance. He put out one song from it, but mentioned that it was a kind of a rights issue with Dream Theater that he wouldn't put out the rest. Now that he's back with them, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he still doesn't put it out, but I kind of hope he does. I would love to see that, being a fan of Haken as well. There was another spot in harmony that I know from hearing this in demo form that my harmony overtakes James's melody there. Definitely want to fix that. Oh, and Guy says the cover series is great by Neil. Yeah, because that's Neil and Mike Portnoy and Randy George. I think that do that stuff. Yeah, again, just nailing it all. Yeah, I forgot about Flying Colors, Seeker. That's a good point. Yeah. I've listened to a couple of their, when they put out music videos and stuff, and I think that's maybe not quite so much my thing as some of the other stuff, but still fantastic. I mean, Steve Morse, right? I think the guy that was in Deep Purple and a bunch of Dixie Dregs and stuff like that. Again, another fantastic guitar player. And not related to Neil Morse somehow. So again, we started in the middle of the beat there. Clear up to 118. There's a different guy who's kind of like he sings a lot of the Flying Color stuff. A different guy that's not Neil Morrison. I can't think of his name. But he's got a really good voice. Again, just another, all the harmonies in that stuff is fantastic. Okay, yeah, I think we've got James up a little too loud there. Let's try the half decibel on that again. There we go. It's more modern stuff maybe as compared to the solo work. Yeah, I think that's what it is. I personally, I have always been a little bit more drawn to older stuff than stuff other people my age are generally into. So maybe that's probably what it is. From here to 122, same thing, and again a half decibel out of work, I would think. I pointed this out to the band. McPherson, yes, thank you, Seeker, you're right. I pointed out to the band the other day that we've completely by accident made track 5 on this album something to do with time. Track 5 on Paramnesia was Time Run Short. Track 5 on Boundless is Time's Embrace. We're just about gonna have to make that a thing now, because we did it by accident, but it's kind of funny that both albums, track 5, have something to do with time. Back in the chorus again, the same deal as before. Yeah, that's sent my mind careening down the many things that Portnoy did while he was away from Dream Theater. Winery Dogs, again, just great stuff. I had not heard of Richie Kotzen prior to that. I hope I'm saying his name right. I kind of feel like I'm not, but what an amazing talent, both voice and guitar work, and Billy Sheehan. I mean, does anything even need to be said about any of the Mr. Big guys that hasn't been said a million times? And Sons of Apollo too. While we're on that, I wanted to like Sons of Apollo a little more than I did. I didn't necessarily dislike them, but their stuff didn't quite like catch me the way I was expecting for it to. Although I love all the players. Jeff Scott Soto, again, wasn't somebody that I really knew until that project, and he's got a great voice. Oh, yes, Seeker signing out. Yes, no, thank you. Again, very much appreciated. The interaction is always amazing. Really love talking to you. We'll catch you later. And Guy says he's going to see Richie and John 5 in October. That's going to be a really cool show, I bet. Because both of those guys are crazy good. I'm glad John 5 is doing stuff other than Motley Crue. Never really been a huge Motley Crue fan specifically, but John 5 felt very overqualified for that role to me. Just about to the end of guitars for this one. This one had a little bit more harmony in it than some of the other ones we've done. We've flown through a lot of the other guitar ones, but this one's definitely got a lot of little bits and pieces. That ending is hilarious. I wish I could remember who said it now, but I do remember that we knew that we wanted to end this song with a bunch of just like clucks like that. And it was probably me that asked how many should we do, and somebody maybe like jokingly was like 13, and that's what we did. I'm pretty sure it's 13. That ending is fun. Yeah, Guy says John 5 is a huge Kiss fan too, has a massive collection. I've seen some of that. I've seen that. There's a video of him floating around playing a Paul Stanley Cracked Mirror Iceman and playing some Kiss songs, and yeah, I mean, unsurprisingly plays them perfectly. Okay, so opening the bass back up so that we can now listen through the song with basically the bass layer. So drums, bass, guitar, both the rhythm guitars and the clean guitars, but leaving out the pianos, orchestra, leads, and vocals. Just making sure everything's nice and balanced so that when we're bringing the other stuff in, it's got a nice bass to sit on top of. Yeah, we may need to adjust that bass noise that we brought down at the very, very, very end. Might be a hair too quiet now. We'll have to check that. But other than that, I think we're doing pretty good. I also want to pay really special attention to what the bass is doing in the verse. That da 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 might be a little too loud because the pianos are doing it also, but that's something we want to just watch for. Everything else I'm feeling pretty good about. Okay, so let's start bringing other stuff in and checking other things kind of bit by bit. Yeah, I think we got it all back in. Our next thing is going to be pianos. So we've got a few things to pay attention to. I want to, for a moment, we've put music box in with the piano, and I want to forget about that for a second. Here in the very beginning, we've got low piano just hitting those big D notes right at the very beginning when the clean guitars are still playing, and then they come in following what the bass is doing. So in the verse, check this out here. Yes. Now I think I want the where he follows the guitar riff, that should come down a little bit, and maybe even the big notes following the bass guitar should come down a little too. Pay close attention to that. Well, let's get the big D notes here at the beginning first. I'm getting ahead of myself. Yeah, honestly, I think I'm good with that. They're not super clearly heard, but if you'd mute them, you'd notice something at the bottom end was missing. I'm good with those as they are. The music box is kind of the more important Sam thing right there. Okay, so now let's pay attention to the bit in the verse there. Got some ideas there. Oh, and I almost forgot. I saw a guy said I like John 5 with Manson and Zombie much more than with Crew. Agreed. Yeah. Never necessarily been a huge Marilyn Manson or it's White Zombie, right? Either one of those, not a huge fan of. But yeah, again, John 5's work in those is fantastic. But definitely better than with Crew. Yeah. Again, he's so overqualified. Okay, so for the piano, I do think most of it was actually fine. I do want to bring down the da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And then I think I do want to bring the bass down just a little. Again, not much. It's more of a relax it down in than turning it down, you know what I mean? So I want to turn this little bit of the piano down. We'll try 1.5 decibels and see if that's enough. And let's go up to the bass. And only the times where he's going da 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 da, just that bit. And let's try 1.5 decibels there too. Okay, see what that sounds like. paying a little bit more attention to the bass than the piano there, and the first two notes feel appropriate, but then the second two kind of disappear. So let's put those back up at 3 and only turn down the first two notes and see what that does.
Born anew, the world stands still. This young life knows no pain.
Okay. Yes, good with the bass. Let me listen to that again. Pay a little bit closer attention to the piano.
Born anew, the world stands still. This young life knows no pain.
Okay, I think I'm good with that as is. I was wanting to hear the da 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 da. That's not the right notes at all, but yeah, the notes at the end there. Okay, okay, I want to hear the da 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 again. Yeah, so in the second half, we're going to need to do the same thing to the bass. Just those first two notes in the phrase. We'll have to do that in the second verse too. And then in the piano, we want to turn down da 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 da. Decibel and a half seems to be doing the trick for both of these. Is there more in the left hand on the second half? There totally is. I want to pay attention to that.
Years go by, a child still plays, unscathed by the passage of time.
I think I'm good with that. Yeah, okay. In the second half of the verse, the left hand also goes da da da, and it didn't do that in the first half. You can kind of see the waveforms here, da da da, and then over here, those are not there. Interesting. I think I was okay with it as is, though. They did pop out a little more, but I think that's okay. Okay, and then what else do we have? Oh, yes, there's this little piano thing at the beginning of the solo, which is kind of a feature of the section, so we want to pay close attention to this.
Nothing to be now.
Okay, I think I could stand hearing both of those things a little more, because it is arguably kind of one of the more interesting things that's going on right there.
Nothing to be now.
It's almost like a short little piano solo. A short and very simple piano solo by Sam standards, but neat nonetheless. Okay, let's see what this is. Excuse me. I didn't remember there being piano there. That's pretty cool. So it actually does, the piano does interact with the strings a little bit. So what happens if we turn our EQ back on there that are specific to piano interacting with strings EQ? Yeah, I do think that is helpful. However, I don't want that to mess with any of the work that we've done previously, so I think we better automate that to shut itself back off for everything but that right there. Is there just kind of a... Is there a full bypass for this? There sure isn't. Okay, so what we're going to need to do is look at what peaks these are on, peak 2 and peak 3, and we're going to have to do separate envelopes for each one. Peak 2 on and off. And we want it to turn on just for this section that we've just done. And then we need to switch over to peak 3. Peak 3 on and off. And the same thing. We want it to switch itself on just for this section. But other than that, they stay off. Oh, Dad says, I wasn't sure if you'd leave that weird bass noise at the very end in. Can't remember if that was even written on my music or if it just happened. Yeah, I'm not sure either. It might have just happened, because I'm actually thinking that you didn't have anything at the end because you weren't sure if you wanted to play along with the that were going on there. Because I think it was we had kind of together decided trying just hitting the D note over and over. So I bet that thumb scratch was just like a spur of the moment thing. I wouldn't deny it if somebody called it demoitis, but I kind of feel like I don't want to take it out. I kind of feel like it should be there. Might just be because I'm used to hearing it there, but I do kind of feel like it should be there. Okay, so just so we can see what happened here, this is our piano EQ that we were just looking at, and right before that section, we will actually see those two peaks appear and then disappear. Okay, I kind of didn't want it on for the music box, but I'll be honest, it was okay. It didn't make the music box sound weird, so I think we can leave it. Sounds like it belongs there. Agreed. Yeah. Okay, guys, give me just 1 second here. I need to go grab something to drink. I got something weird in my throat. Just like 20 seconds or something. Record time. And look at me being responsible and drinking water instead of Mountain Dew. This is ruining our Pepsi sponsorship. If only we had a Pepsi sponsorship. Okay, so we need to make the same volume moves in this second verse that we did in the first. So highlighting where the piano is going da 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 and taking that down. Then we're going to need to go up to the bass and also take that bit down. So that noise is the alchemist accidentally knocking a beaker of oil of impact off the bench. Right, yes. Yes. I gotta say too, how cool is that Seeker is from Greece? That's just about made my day, honestly. I knew that people in other countries were listening to AfterWinter music, but that's just so neat. To actually get to interact with somebody from a different country, a different culture. That is super, super cool. Okay, so there's the bass bits fixed. Okay, so the second verse should be good to go. Let's listen to make sure.
Later days, these years took their toll. These old bones feel their age.
Okay, I want to hear something just because I'm curious. I've been debating whether the piano, those last four notes were too loud. Let me just hear them turn down and see.
Feel their age.
I think I prefer it. Okay, well, let's fix that up real fast. We just need to adjust a couple of nodes here. Yep, that there and that there. Okay, so that should be fixed. Luckily, that wasn't quite as big of a time consumer as I thought it might be.
Later days, these years took their toll. These old bones feel their age. At the end, I greet death as a friend. I know I've just begun.
Okay, other than a couple of nodes in a wrong spot right there near the end, which I fixed. Yep, good with that. All right. Oh, and we've got this little piano run at the end, which probably needs turned up. Sam doing his Sam thing right there. And would it be an AfterWinter album without a diminished chord sneaking up on you? Yes. How do you make a section of a bunch of guitar players just going brrr, 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 interesting? Tell your piano player to, and I quote, do something cool. And that's what you get. All right, let's check the music box. I think both music box sections are fine as is, but let's check them. The moment we get transported to Hogwarts, apparently. Yes. Thought that even when he did it. That's hearing the notes he played earlier played fast like that. Yeah, very much so. Okay, moving into orchestra. We have a few sections of orchestra, mostly the chorus, but then there's some bits in the solo as well. And this is something we've worked on already with the mid-range band pass. So it might be fine now that we've worked on it a little bit. But we definitely want to kind of check and make sure we're hearing it appropriately, because it's certainly not a feature instrument anywhere that it's playing, but it should be adding kind of to the vibe. Yeah, so we're definitely towing a line here because it's hard to hear them, but when I muted them, I absolutely heard a difference. Let's try reducing this cut at 2400 just a little. I'd like to hear a little more high end, and I do mean a little, just so that it cuts just a tiny bit more. So I do think I want to change something about that section right there, at least in the high strings. The da 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 and then da 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 feel a little bit loud. I think they'd be okay if there wasn't a solo happening there, but it does trample on the guitar solo just a little. It's neat, but I do want it to go down just a little bit, I think. Here's the question, and I'll go ahead and I'll pose this to the chat. Honest opinions, and I would like anybody that's in here, if you want to throw an opinion in the chat. I was listening to some other stuff this week in kind of comparison, and I've noticed that in a lot of other pro mixes and even in other mixes I've done, the drums are a lot quieter than they are here. Does anybody think the drums are too loud? Oh, Cody says, by the way, I've been here lurking. I'm also at work. Oh, good, good. I'm glad you're here, man. But yes, again, genuine, honest opinions by anybody who is in the chat, any and all. I've noticed that the drums seem a little quieter in other pro mix stuff and in other mixes I've done even than they are here. Does anybody think the drums are too loud? Not by much. Cody says, drums punch. I love when drums punch and you hear all kinds of drum goodies. Fair enough. Absolutely. One of the things that I was kind of hoping to make this album sound a little bit like was the self-titled Dream Theater album, which a lot of people criticized the production of that one, but mostly because it's over-compressed. And I feel like we are not over-compressing here, but the drums are very, very prominent on that album. And I feel like we're pretty close, I think, to how that album sounds, maybe spiritually, if that makes sense. It's not literally a production twin, but in the way that AfterWinter would do that same sort of style, I feel like we've gotten it pretty good. Guy says they sound cool. Okay, so that's 2 votes for leave them like they are. Good, well, I'm glad, because normally I would be questioning that probably for days on end, and trying it back and forth and not deciding whether or not I liked it one way or the other. So, yes, thank you guys for your input. Anybody else, by all means, if you've got an opinion, throw it in there. Yes, Guy says, I love that Dream Theater album. Same, man. That was the one that finally convinced me to check out their entire catalog, if I'm being honest. And that is one that I usually see near the bottom of other Dream Theater fans' ranking lists, that particular album, and I love it. Okay, here's the second chorus. Again, paying kind of attention to the strings.
Passed into the beyond. My marching days are done, but I can see the unseen clock. The answers have all been unlocked. Though I exist only purely, I still see just one thing clearly. My soul is only for you. Only for you. In this place, I'm unaffected by the grip of time's embrace. I'm always with you now.
Yep, good with all that. All right, we'll check out the synth now. There's synth in a few parts of the song, and I'm feeling pretty confident that they're okay where they're at. But again, let's check. Pay close attention here. I happen to know that this is a really cool synth run he's doing right here, but there's also a guitar solo that's kind of the focus here. So this is definitely a kind of a line we want to toe. I want to know that it's there, but I don't really want it jumping out of the speaker.
Years go by, a child.
Yep, I'm good with the synth there. Then it comes back in for the da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da.
Ever on and on.
Yeah. We got that. What's that noisemaker made that we probably all had as kids, where you turn it upside down and it kind of goes, "Wah," that thing? That noise right before the chorus always kind of reminds me of that. Okay, here's another. Yeah, it's the same synth run from earlier.
At the end, I greet death.
Okay, and break two.
Passed into the beyond.
Yep, good with that. All right, we've got another section of the da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. That piano thing might be just a hair loud now. I did turn it up quite a bit. Let's pull that back just a hair. Yeah. Okay, into leads. We are making really good headway on this one. This one, either this episode, this one, the mix will have a good first draft, or next, at the beginning of next episode, for sure. I'm hoping we can go up until 2 here, so we've still got 30 minutes. I just don't want to, I pretty desperately don't want to rush through it so that we could have it done, you know what I mean? I'm excited to get to the next one, though. I am loving that I'm excited about each consecutive song, you know? Okay, so first thing, this little tiny little lead here in the middle of the first verse. Okay, I want to hear that, I think, with the mid-range band pass on. I know I used neck pickup for that. That's the Jackson Soloist. That was my main guitar for years and years and years and years. I know that's neck pickup, so I'm wondering if the low mids are a little weird on that. No, in the mid-range bandpass, that's totally fine. So if there's something weird with it, it's not low mids. I do feel like maybe the very first note is a little quiet. Yeah. Tried to stick with the kind of like Egyptian-y feel with these solos. Also did one of those little whammy bar tricks in this that I don't know that I've ever done in anything else, where you kind of like slap the whammy bar almost so it kind of goes brrr. I'm not super good at it, but I did it in this and I feel like it came out pretty good. Yeah, that was a lot closer, but it was a little bit louder than everything around it. I almost heard the volume go down. Come on. Go to 1.5. There we go.
Years go by, a child still.
Nice. By the way, I also filmed myself recording all of these leads this time for a couple of reasons. One, so that if I ever needed to relearn them, I could see what I did, because the solos aren't tabbed, the rhythm guitars are. But also, when we did the Sarvik Wicked Mistress album, I uploaded a video that was just kind of like a supercut of videos of all of the solos on the album, and I thought that was really neat, and I kind of wanted to do that for this album too. So there should theoretically be a supercut of all of the solos being recorded at some point. Okay, so we got a second verse lead. Okay, I'm pretty good with that one, but I think I want that note, the note that continues out into where the vocals are, I want that to get out of the way a little quicker. Yeah, so we like place a node right at the beginning of the measure where the vocals start. And then there's nothing else on this track after this. So we'll bring it down so that it kind of fades out. But I think I do want it to kind of curve a little bit. And I know that, by the way, if anybody else in here uses Logic, there is an automation curve tool which can make this line literally curved. But I like to be able to manipulate it a little bit more by just sticking another note in there. So it'll fade out a little quicker right at the beginning and then fade out slow as it kind of goes away. Yeah, so you can still tell that note is there, but it's not right in the front of the speaker competing with the vocals. Okay, and then we have the actual guitar solo itself, which was the blue Sterling guitar that I've been using live with Shot of Whiskey a whole bunch. Still working on taking out a little bit of the lows there. Cody says, I was half paying attention because I was dealing with the driver. Did I hear the nasty words neck pickup? Yes, you did. Yes, you did. I was going for more of that kind of like, what's the right word? My brain is saying creamy, but I don't know if that's the right word. That tone that's a little bit softer. It's not so pick, attack of the pick driven. You're hearing a little bit more note, but it does tend to introduce a little bit too many low mids a lot of the time. We've also got a funny little, like, almost like a Mario running sound at the end of that solo, which is a neat thing I did on a couple of solos on this tapping, where I'm tapping, my pointer finger of the right hand is tapping the same note that my ring finger of the right hand is hitting in the pull-off. So it kind of gives that right at the end. It almost sounds like the, Mario from Super Mario Brothers 3 running or something right at the end. Right here. Funny. Okay, let's jump into vocals. Now, we do have a lot of vocals going on in this song pretty much throughout. There is a lot of three-part harmony in this song, which is neat. Another line that we want to try and keep in mind that we have to toe here is that this song is primarily my vocals. Majennica is in here, and so we want to make sure that her vocals are being heard. Again, they're not at any point in this song are they the focus, but we do want to make sure that we are clearly hearing that her voice is also in there. So starting with the first verse here. Yeah, so I guess you could kind of say her vocals are focused there. So it's her and I both singing the same part right there, and my vocals are in the middle and hers are panned out a little bit. So I guess it's kind of the blend of our voices is the focus point there.
Born anew, the world stands still. This young life knows no pain.
I'm going to bring her vocals a little closer to center, but not much.
Born anew, the world stands still. This young life knows no pain.
Okay, but in the full mix, I'm still mostly hearing her. Or, sorry, no, I said that wrong. Mostly hearing me. Now, she's singing kind of in a lower register for her on this part, so maybe again we need to be looking at the lows or the low mids on her vocal, cutting those a little so that we can turn her up more without it taking up too much space. So let's try that. Dropping down here to right around like 200, and let's drop 3 decibels out of her vocal. The verses here are the only things on these 2 tracks.
Born anew, the world stands still. This young life knows no pain.
Okay, yeah. Just hearing the 2 of us together, that was better as far as mixing her and I both.
Years go by, a child still plays, unscathed by the passage of time.
Such a weird vocal line, but I love it. The timing is odd. The notes are odd. It implies major. So neat.
Born anew, the world stands still. This young life knows no pain.
I felt that. I felt that right there. That was cool. Okay, let's check the second verse since we're paying attention. It's the same balance, just different words.
Later days, these years took their toll. These old bones feel their age. At the end, I greet death as a friend. I know I've just begun.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm good with that. I have a curiosity. Let's jump back to the first verse. Let me make a couple of copies here real fast. So we copy Majenica's vocal tracks. And we're going to mute the originals. I want to do something different, but I want to be able to recall the default if it doesn't work. I'm curious what happens if we make her voice, the primary voice for that section and pan mine out instead. Just purely out of curiosity. So we'll do the same thing. We'll copy my vocals for that section, mute the originals, and then we'll pan. See, I had her out by like 25 or so. So we'll pan me 25 left and right. That does mean we need to make my two vocals about the same volume. And then hers need to be lead and double. Okay, did that keep my mic on? Yes, it did. Okay.
Born anew, the world stands still. This young life knows no pain.
See, neat.
Born anew, the world stands still. This young life knows no pain. Years go by, a child still plays, unscathed by the passage of time. Born anew, the world stands still. This young life knows no pain.
I'm not sure which one I like better, honestly.
Years go by, a child still plays, unscathed by the passage of time.
I can definitely hear her better that way, which I like. Let's hear it the old way again.
Born anew, the world stands still. This young life knows no pain.
We'll switch it back. So now her vocal is lead.
Years go by, a child still plays, unscathed by the passage of time.
I'm not gonna lie, I think I'm kind of preferring her vocal in the lead there. Let's check the second verse.
Later days, these years took their toll. These old bones feel their age.
tell you what, let's leave that. That's cool. I honestly, I wasn't really expecting to switch that, but a curiosity overtook me, and I kind of liked it better. I kind of liked it better with her vocals in the lead. You know what? I'm trying to think about how we can. No, we should commit. I was trying to think of a way we could leave it so that we could switch it back if we change our minds later, but let's commit to it. I think what I want to do with my vocals is that. So we just kind of added a couple of extra me vocals so that we can leave them panned out without it interfering with stuff that's not the verse. Okay, and then let's check out a chorus. Getting better with it. I still think my lead vocal ended up a little quiet here. I'm trying to get that put in balance. Oh, yeah. Guy says some vocals remind me of Yes. Yeah. Yeah, there's a little bit of that influence in there for sure. Almost there. We've just about got it, I think. I think I want to turn Of the Unseen Clock down a little bit.
Face to face.
starting right here, Majenica's background vocals are just a hair loud. I like the "though the grains of sand fall surely" part.
Only for you, face to face. I'm unaffected by the grip of time's embrace. Means nothing to me now.
Okay.
Only for you.
Yeah, her vocal on "Only for You" is still just a hair too loud.
Only for you, face to face. Heartbeats only for you. Only for you, face to face. I'm unaffected by the grip of time's embrace. Means nothing to me now. Later days, these years of their toll. These hormones feel their age. At the end, I greet death as a friend. I know I've just begun. Past into the beyond. My marching days are done, but I can see the unseen clock. The end.
Okay, those need to go up just like they did in the last chorus.
Past into the beyond. My marching days are done, but I can see the unseen clock. The answers have all been unlocked. Though I exist only purely, I still see. Past into the beyond. My marching days are done, but I can see the unseen clock. The answers have all been unlocked. Though I exist only purely, I still see just one thing clearly. My soul is only for you. Only for you. In this place, I'm unaffected by the grip of time's embrace. I'm always with you now.
Okay, I want to try a couple of the moves from the first chorus on Majenica's background vocal. Although honestly, it sounded okay as is. I'm just curious if it sounds better with the moves from the first chorus.
Only for you. Only for you.
Okay, that time the "Only for You" felt quiet.
Only for you.
We might actually leave that up.
Only for you. In this place, I'm unaffected by the grip of time's embrace.
There we go. Yeah. I think I will forever be slightly haunted by the fact that I couldn't say the word "by" the way I wanted to in those vocals. I'm unaffected by the grip of time's embrace. I feel like I said "bah," like B-A-H. Bah, the grip is like very country. Maybe B-A-H isn't even the right word, but it almost sounds like I've got a really thick country accent when I say the word "by." It just like bothers me just a tiny little bit.
I'm unaffected by the grip of time's embrace.
Funny. Yes, okay, but honestly, I think we've got it. I don't think we need to go through the background vocals, especially. I was paying attention to kind of the whole, and I think it sounded fine, if I'm being honest. I think we might be good on a first draft mix of this one. Dark County accent, that's exactly right. Yeah. Yep. We sound northern to the southerners and southern to the northerners. Even though we are not in the middle. We're closer to the north than the south, but somehow we ended up with middle accents, weirdly. Okay. Yeah, I think I'll go ahead and export this one off stream again, because we don't want to export on stream. It takes way too long. And we'll take a look at maybe mastering this one next time. Yeah, we'll dig into track 6. There is a chance I will be back later tonight. I'm thinking probably not. So it'll probably be tomorrow, right around kind of normal time, probably around 1. So from like 1 to 3-ish, we'll be doing this again. Maybe, just maybe, if you guys might see one pop up tonight, but I'm betting it'll be tomorrow. So yeah, looking forward to starting that stream. If it's tomorrow, we'll be starting the stream by mastering this. Again, first draft, nothing is considered finished until we've got the whole thing for context. But then digging our paws into track 6, which is called Sunrise, which was actually the first one that we wrote for this album, musically speaking, but again, just turned into something cooler and cooler as other stuff started getting added to it. So really looking forward to checking that one out. But yeah, right on time as well. I needed to get out of here at 2 o'clock, so we did this time-wise just exactly perfect. Nice. So thank you, everybody who's in here right now. Again, the interaction on this episode has been absolutely fantastic. Dad, Guy, Cody, Seeker, fantastic conversation with all of you. Really enjoyed all of that, and again, really, really appreciate you guys hanging out in here. Cody says, if you're on again tonight, I'll be back on, but I'll be doing the same thing for a client. Yes, yeah, hey, nothing wrong with that. Yes, indeed. So we'll see about that. But yeah, whether you're watching right now, whether you were watching before, whether you're watching this in the future when it's not live, I and everybody in the band appreciate every second of time that you spend checking out any of our music, checking out any of these streams. I really appreciate all you guys hanging out and interacting. I've said it 1,000 times, but this is one of the main ways that we're interacting with our fans right now. So it's super important for us, and we appreciate all of the feedback back to us as well. We do this stuff because we love it, but also a good part of why we do this is because we know that there are some people out there that really enjoy this stuff, and we want to make sure you guys know we really appreciate that support. So thank you for hanging out, and we will catch you in the next stream.